So we have talked about Ashwini and Bharani. Today we will talk about Krittika, the four charanas of Krittika, in which we will talk about each charana separately. First, we will talk about the first charana, then followed by second, third, and fourth charanas. In this, also what we will see is basically what results you can expect from the planets and the cusps that are placed in respective houses with respect to the padas of the Krittika. This is what you will see today, and also the the bodily characteristics of the person with respect to the Lagna cusp and also the Lagna Lord when placed in different padas. The Karma Vipaka Samhita associated with that, the mantra and basic remedies that you can do, the Navadurga associated with it. These are those things that we will talk today. Let's start without any delay. The first pada, that is the Kritika's first pada, that falls in Mesha or the Aries in the D1, and that falls in the Sagittarius in the D9, right? So, like every time we are taking the mantra of the Taittiriya Brahmana. So, I have done a complete video on Kritika. My expectation is you have watched that video already. If you did not, please watch the complete video of Kritika, where we have talked about the general characteristics and how to make use of Kritika to use it in predictions. Now we are seeing the results from the padas, right? So it is Agneh Kritika, Sukram Parastat, Jyotir Avastat. Agneh Kritika, Sukram Parastat, Jyotir Avastat. Now we have got 4 words of it. So we have split that mantra into 4 parts and used those 4 words. That is, the first pada is in Agneh. If you see, the Aries and Sagittarius both are fire signs. So mostly this pada is based on the Dharma. The Dharma is very important here also. And this is also called as the Dhana Amsha, right? So generally there is prosperity. The prosperity comes after the marriage, right? Because it's the 1 and 9 combination. 1 and 9 combination is because prosperity comes after the marriage, or there is a big change in life after the marriage. Why? Because if you see, the 1 and the 8 houses are connected and the 9 and the 12 houses are connected. So either there is a big change in the life of the person after the marriage is what you will see. Eventually we will talk about each of the result. Please stay tuned. So the Mars is ruling it in the D1. The Jupiter is ruling this planet in the D9. Why? Because it is placed in the Aries, so Mars is ruling it. It is placed in the Sagittarius in the Navamsha, so Jupiter is ruling it. Now, we can also see that the exaltation is Sun's exaltation in the D1. No planet is being exalted in Sagittarius. However, you can consider that Ketu exalts in the Sagittarius. Some people are of the opinion that Ketu exalts in the Scorpio, but I am mostly using Ketu being exalted in the Sagittarius. Okay, debilitation point is Saturn debilitates in the Aries, and in the Sagittarius, Rahu is debilitating. The Amsha is called as Dhana Amsha, right? And as I said, marriage changes the life, right? And the person is little conventional. I mean, although I wrote orthodox, what I would mean is the person is trying to achieve things conventionally. There is less out of box thinking here, okay? Or there is a huge amount of rational being used, and the person is very confident of the point that I have to use already proven methods to achieve something, because these two are these rashis where light is too much, right? Mesha has enough light, and Sagittarius also is a fire sign. Both are lit up. So only methods that have been practiced in the past is what I am looking at, is what is the person that will represent here, right? So there is little orthodoxity is what I will think. Do not think orthodoxity would mean the typical orthodoxy that we will talk about in case of a religion. It's not the religion thing, but it is not doing anything much out of the box. Okay, but the nakshatra itself is about doing a little out of box, the whole thing, of which Agni is not too much of out of box. All the other padas will show a lot of unorthodox thing. I'll tell you how it is. Right? Hostels during UG or PG or job. Right? Why is that? Because the first house, I mean, Aries is the first house, Sagittarius is the ninth house, right? Ninth and the 12th houses are connected. If you see, Jupiter and Jupiter is ruling both the houses, Sagittarius and Pisces, both are the 9 and the 12th houses. So ninth house can represent marriage, or ninth house can represent higher studies. Usually after the intermediate or the +2, the guy gets into a college or somewhere where it is a little far off from the place. Most times what I have seen is it's for the PG, the guy gets out. I mean, how do you determine that? This is only a heads up you will get from here. You go to D10, from there you understand whether the guy is moving out or not from the D10, because D10 talks about the whole karma of the person. Unless you are associated to a place, you cannot do karma there, right? You have to, if you're eating something at a place, you have associated karma there. That's why I always look at D10, although some people will say you look at D4, etc. But what has worked for me all through is the D10. Whenever I have checked the movement, I've always checked the D10, right? Because the person mostly moves to the job or for the karma associated with that place, right? Now, the Agni is a mediator. As I said, I'm expecting that you have listened to that class, the previous class of the Krittika, wherein in detail we have talked about the characteristics of Agni and all of the nakshatra of the Krittika for about 2 hours. Please listen to that class. If you have a lot of lot of understanding is not coming, then you have to definitely listen to the class. So Agni is a messenger. Agni works in collaboration with his wife, Swaha, right? So this works very well here. So maybe the husband and the wife are in the same kind of a business or same kind of jobs, and they are working in tandem. So one sends, I mean, they are like desks apart in the same office. Even that can be possible. The person is a very good messenger, leader, mediator, because if you look at the job of this man Agni in a homa or a havan or a ritual or a yajna, the basic thing is Agni carries the havis of the yajaman to the god, right? So Yajman is the native who is doing the yajna, and he carries it through his mouth. Agni swallows it and then delivers it to the god from another mouth, right, or another tongue. That's why Agni is called as Sapta Jihva. That means somebody who has got 7 tongues, right? So the person has extremely great understanding of how to manage and deal with people. Okay, so he deals with them very, very, very practically. He has no emotions, right? Fire doesn't carry any water, right? Fire fires and burns as long as fuel is available to it. So the person is not carrying any emotions. So just in case the cusp of the lagna falls here, and if you try to understand whether it is this side of the lagna or that side of the lagna, usually what happens is when it is in the Krittika first charana, it is in Mesha, that is the Aries. If it is in the second charana, this goes into Taurus. Most of the times people will think, where am I falling? Now you will know exactly where you will fall, right? Most of the times you will fall on the either side depending on these characteristics. But sometimes it may so happen that some will come like 50% are here and 50% are there. Then the cusp is very near to the center of those two things. And leader, mediator, as we have talked. So he works as a mediator between the Yajaman and the god, right? Agni works like that. Agni has always been, Agni is like the Kama Agni, right? Agni is lot lustful. He had tried to lure the Sapta Rishis' wives, excepting Arundhati. Everybody else's form Swaha Devi has taken. Swaha Devi is the wife of Agni. After having got to know that this man Agni is fallen for the beauty of those chaste women, Swaha Devi thought, let me not trouble Agni. Let me disguise myself as all of these six sages' wives, and let me go and sleep with him. So Agni was very happy. He thought that it was the Muni's wives. Okay, there is a story around all this. Okay, in different places it was said in different ways. So what we understand is, in one way we think that Krittika or the Kartikeya, the Subramanya, is born to this union wherein the six sages' wives disguise this Swaha has taken, and Agni being the father. So Subramanya is born out of it. This is one kind of a legend that we have, besides the legend that we have talked about during the Krittika Nakshatra main video, right? So what we understand from all this stuff is the guy can be promiscuous. However, don't jump in and say, look, there is promiscuity for sure. No, you cannot, because you need to check the Navamsha, you need to check the third house, you need to check the third lord and all that stuff, and their connections to the seventh and the 11th houses, the Rasi Tulya Navamsha, etc., and all that stuff to actually fruitfully have an affair, etc. Otherwise, one can be lustful, but he may not show it up in front of audience, or nobody knows that the guy is a lot lustful, unless, I mean, his wife, his personal thing, his wife may know it, right? So don't jump or say or make a conclusion just by looking at one thing, and or not. I mean, I would rather recommend to not get into that stuff. Okay, refrain from looking at those things. You would actually feel a lot better, right? Unless there is a real need wherein, if you have to take an action on that promiscuity thing, or you're trying to solve a problem of someone, then that's a yes for me. Otherwise, I would say don't look into such things. Okay, they will actually corrupt your brain more than anything else, because what happens is, at one point in time, the yogamaya breaks off, and whatever you try to predict, it will keep happening to be right, or the god will try to ensure that you've been right, doing right things. At some point in time, it may so happen, not may, it will happen that whatever you're trying to say will become true. So if you lose that power by being promiscuous, or you're trying to take an advantage of the other opposite sex because of such kind of combinations, these things will come up. Okay, just be careful, because the yoga maya will try to kick in. If you're not trying to, if you're trying to grow bigger and bigger, yoga maya also will come back on you more and more bigger, trying to corrupt you off. You have to be really careful. Okay, so don't fall for any of those traps, especially jyotishis. Very, very careful. Friendships, partnerships, affairs, Kanyadana. Okay, we've talked about this Kanyadana thing. When it gets connected to the fifth house, there can be a Kanyadana thing. See, fire is something which we light up every time a deal is made. Like, Sugriva and Rama were trying to establish vows against each other, saying, look, you will be my friend and I'll be your friend. They have promised in front of Agni, or they have taken a vow in front of Agni. Even in the marriage of a Hindu, we always light up Agni, and we call it Agni as a Sakshi. Sakshi means a witness. People would be afraid to do anything wrong or go against the vows when Agni is the Sakshi. This has been a norm for quite a long time. Okay, so even today we still follow the norm of getting married in front of Agni, although the other things are not followed, like friendships or partnerships are not being made in front of Agni. But the thing is, if you're making a vow in front of Agni, it means that you will have to stand for it, right? That's why they do it. So Kanya Danas, so what you can see is fifth house connections can bring in Kanya Dana. One good request that I'm making to all of you is you have to look at the house in particular. I'm trying to give you everything all at once, but you have to see what houses connect to those things. Like as I said, promiscuity should be connected to 3, 7, 11 houses. It should be very clearly visible. Okay, even in the Navamsha, it should be visible, right? So you need to know those houses, right? The hostels, UG, PG thing, you can see it from UG thing is from the 4th, 5th houses, the PG from the 9th house, 10th is the job house. You need to know all these things. Okay, food can be with the 2nd house thing, right? So the food thing, which I've maybe I've got to talk about, the food is, the being a foodie, because that is what we use Agni the most. In every home we have Agni, or the fire, that we use it to make food, right? So yajnas, homas, too much of work. Agni does, what is the job of Agni? You supply him raw rice, he is with water, he is making it into cooked rice. So Agni is trying to transform anything that is supplied to it. And if it is trying to transform more and more and more, the final result will be an ash, right? Agni tries to transform it. You have put on a cooker over a stove, it cooks the rice up. You forgot to switch the stove off. What happens? It cooks, 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 and cooks, and it finally becomes an ash, right? So the expectation of Agni is a transformation in you. Okay, being an Agni sign here, the major difference that you have to understand between Krittika first pada and the second pada is, in the first pada there is Agni, in the second pada there is Krittika. These two are completely two different things. Okay, Agneh Krittika, Sukram Parastat, Jyotir Avastat. This is what I'm trying to explain. So Krittika comes in the second charana. Okay, we will talk about it. So the Agni is expecting a transformation in the person, right? Or Agni is waiting. It is supplying heat and it gives time for the person to transform. Will he transform or not is a different thing. Okay, so what do we understand out of this? Let's suppose a divorce has to happen between a couple, right? Now, if it happens to be the first pada of the Agni thing, first pada of the Kritika thing, the person will give time to the partner for him to change or her to change, himself or herself, and he will keep supplying some heat, right? He will keep telling him, he could keep coaching him, or he would keep pleading him, he would keep begging him or her for that matter. So and some time is given so that the change or a transformation in the spouse is expected. Maybe let me wait for some time. This is what Agni will do. Okay. I just gave a wife's example. It could be in the office as well, or it could be with a brother as well. Depending on the kind of, the kind of the houses that are getting connected to. Okay, Agni has a very devout wife, as I said. I mean, assume today in today's world, if you try to compare Swaha with today's women, any woman who's married, I mean, I'm trying to provide no offense to anyone. Just try to be in the shoes of Swaha Devi. Agni walks up to her and says, "Look, I'm a lot lustful about these Muni Patnis, and I want to go behind them." Swaha says, "Okay, please go ahead," and she disguises without telling him, so that there's the story is a long big thing. I mean, I'm not trying to show it in bad taste or bad sense, but I'm trying to explain it from the astrological point of view. So I have nothing against any of the, actually I respect all of the shastras and the epics. What I'm trying to give you is the essence, okay, with due respect to everybody, every character of the shastra. So the wife is a lot devout, right? The wife is a lot caring, because see, Venus, gets exalted in the sign of Jupiter. Although Jupiter and Venus will stand off against each other in a battle, Venus would always like Jupiter for the chastity, right? Or whatever gets into the Jupiter's control, he will try to keep it as sacred as possible. That's why Venus believes that I have to get exalted in the place of Jupiter, right? So this being the Navamsha, being the Jupiterian thing, the person will try to be chaste, okay? Or the person will try to be the way it has to be. So a devout wife in an Indian context, right? So this usually happens. Then I'm not saying the Krittika first pada will not take a divorce. There is a possibility of divorce in all the 108 charanas. However, the time that is given even to a person who is very, very cruel, etc., is also handled very differently. Right. So the Agni keeps hiding, right? We use this stove, we cook the food, we switch the Agni off, and whenever we want, we will let up again. So there is a lot of work done by Agni, transforming transformation is the job. He will try to put something in one order into the other order. This is what he will keep doing. This is what he will like, right? And then being in isolation, right? Or anything that reaches him will become him. You put anything into fire, it becomes the fire, right? So he is in isolation in one way. And indigestion is another thing, or very good digestion is another thing. So depending on the planets that you have there and the kind of thing that gets there will say if it is indigestion or a very good digestion. Okay. So Kanyadana is another thing that can come up with fifth house connections, wherein I have explained last time also that if a sibling died and this man gives the Kanyadana of that sibling's child into another family, the Kanyadana would mean marriage of a sibling's child, girl child of a sibling, or for that matter could be could be a friend as well, friend's sibling, friend's daughter, friend's sibling, girl child of anything, girl child of any sort. He becomes or she becomes the father or the mother, right? There's too much of work. There are multiple bosses. The Sagittarius will have a lot of multiplicity as well. So Sagittarius is one of those signs where multiplicity is too high, right? And one are against each other. So there are bosses, multiple bosses. Each boss is quarreling against each other, and this guy becomes a sandwich between all of them. So this is one more prediction that comes up to my mind. If it's Krittika and 10th Lord, 9th Lord, etc., both are connected. Just throwing an example wherein Libra is the Lagna, 9th Lord, 10th Lord is Saturn, right? And that Saturn sits in Krittika first Charan. Right. So the guy is getting sandwiched between bosses. Okay. Reporting, arbitrating, mediating, working for downtrodden. This is another thing which we have talked about the Agni, that, we as bhaktas or yajamans, we have a lot of thing to be given to the god. Agni takes all of them and reports it to the god. Right? So he works like the reporter, the mediator, the arbitrator, the middleman for mostly the downtrodden people where those voices are not heard by the management. This guy stands up and says, look, you come along with me. I will take you to the management and I will talk to them. Okay. This is what Agni does. Indigestion or very good digestion, helping others. Coming to the bodily characteristics, the person is not too very tall, not too fat, not too thin. Beautiful, attractive, radiant personality is what you will see from the body type. And usually these people are charismatic, charismatic or charismatic rather, if the word is to be spelled correctly, charismatic. Not too tall, not too fat. They look like real heroes, okay? Because this is the first charana, first nakshatra, because Ashwini is not the first nakshatra as per the nakshatras. The nakshatras, the Krittika is the first nakshatra, right? That's why Vimshotri has picked up Ravi or the sun to be lording the Vimshotri Nakshatra of Krittika, right? Ravi becomes the Vimshotri lord. So the theme that is being operated here is 912 theme. So, 912 means one is going away from the father for education, right? 9 is father, 12 is away from father, right? Loss of father in an early age or while the graduation is being, pursued, or soon after the marriage is over, the father is no more, right? 912. You can plot as many things from the 912 combinations, right? And there is a, after the marriage is over, there is a movement in the person moved into a foreign land, right? This can also be possible. 9 and 12, 9 is marriage as well, okay? Don't think 7 is the marriage, 9 as well is a marriage. The axis in which this is being operated here is 3 and 9 and 5 and 11. From the D9 it is 5 and 11. From the D1 it is 3 and 9. These results you will see also. Okay. This also is a Pushkaramsha. The Mrityu Bhaga here is for the Venus at the 28th degree. Venus expect purity. Okay. And I believe I've said this in the previous Charana as well. You have to forget it there. You have to, I probably said this in Bharani 4th Charana also, the 28. I think I misspelled it as 26 or something there and tried to explain Venus there. But 28 degrees is the right thing. That falls in Krittika first Charana, right? So apologize for that. Venus expects purity, okay? So, and Venus is unorthodox, and Agni is not very pure by the mind, right? He thought of luring the Sapta Rishis, wives, and Venus is extremely unorthodox person. Okay, Venus always wants out of box solutions. He's not ready to use the solution that is already existing. He wants to do something very out of box, but this does not allow out of box. This says it should be orthodox. Okay, and Venus believes in trading. This is against trading. The person does not want to trade anything with anyone. He can give it as a dharma, right? Because the Mars moves into, the Aries moves into Sagittarius. It's dharma, right? And more importantly, this is the fire dharma, right? So fire dharma, where everything is lit up and everybody is looking at it. So I do not want to do any mess up in front of people. Let me not be, bad mouthed, right? Non-king is what Venus expects, and Jupiter expects that the king only has to win. Same is with the Mars. Mars expects sun is the king. Jupiter says sun is the king. Venus says Saturn or Rahu are the kings, not the sun. Okay, that's why you have the Mrityu Bhaga of the Venus here. It has got nothing else. What it describes is again about the Charana. That's all. However, you will get a very good result of higher magnitude when any planet lies in between 27 and 28 degrees, because Venus has a Mrityu Bhaga here, depending on the lordship it is having and whether it is promoting the orthodoxity or unorthodoxity, etc. To give you a heads up, number 1, Lagna is orthodox. Number 7 is unorthodox, because Lagna is self and 7th houses is the world that you do not know. Okay. Okay. Now you see the Karma Vipaka Samhita. Now you can see a handsome and a wealthy man, Adi Sharma. Look at the name given first of all, Adi Sharma. Adi would mean the first, right? Everybody knows that. Kritika's Charana 1, and it is Adi Sharma. Okay, I would recommend you start reading from here. Then it will make more sense. If you're reading the Karma Vipaka, read it from here. It will make a lot of sense. Adi Sharma, a Brahmin, enjoyed hunting daily, right? Why is fire majoritarily used for? Fire is firstly used for food. That's the first thing a man will, everybody needs fire. Without fire, anybody cannot live. And the first thing it is useful is for the food that he is making. Okay, a Brahmin killing a pregnant deer, right? See, usually what is forbidden for a hunter in Vedic tradition is any animal that is not feeling well, you should not hunt it. Any animal that is handicapped, you should not hunt it. Any animal that is pregnant, you should not hunt it. Or there are some other things where the animal is not capable of running, you should not hunt it. The reasons can be many. I mean, the animal itself could be diseased, etc. If you eat it, you may get that disease. This is the first thing that probably the rishis have thought. For the pregnant thing, it is about to deliver another soul into the world. So killing it is forbidden. The person killed a pregnant deer doesn't have, I mean, he lacked the compassion that is required, right? You can see why we're talking about compassion here is compassion comes from the water, right? A person can be very compassionate depending on the emotional quotient he has. However, the Sagittarius and Aries, these do not have any compassion. Okay, you know why? Because Sagittarius is the place of war, Dhanas, right? It's the place of war. And Mesha or the Aries is the warrior, right? The warrior getting into the place of a war would mean I am carrying no emotions, right? My job is to hunt, so I will hunt. Similarly, if my job is a husband, I will be a husband. That's it. There is nothing called emotion. Okay, my wife would really like this. Let me take this, and all that stuff is not there. This is missing. Certain times it is actually very, very good. You know why? Because without any emotion, okay, there is a problem in the family. Let us suppose how an emotional person will deal is he will cry in front of everyone. He will try to prove his point, saying that, look, I have done all these things for you. You people don't realize I have gone a lot of out of box. I have done this, I have done that, I have done this and that and stuff. However, this man here will say, okay, he is my husband, so I need to respect him. I'm respecting him. Okay, he is my husband's father. I'm respecting him. Okay, so this is how it goes on. Okay, probably you made up, you tried to understand what I'm trying to mean here. Due to the chastity of the wife, right? Because the wife has been very, very good here. This is what we have understood from the Swaha Devi also. And that's why he's reborn as a human. However, he's got stillborn children. I mean, when the children have come out, they were born dead. That's called a stillborn, right? So that was another problem which he was facing. If you try to understand, see, Jupiter is the karma's karma, right? Or the purva punya's purva punya, and the sun is exalting in the D1, and you can see the connections from there. Okay, so it is about the punya the person is doing and the emotional feeling that the person has to feel, because Jupiter exalts in emotion. Jupiter exalts in the fourth house of the natural zodiac where emotions are very high. Jupiter also is more interested in the Pisces. A lot of people know Jupiter as Pisces, but do not know Jupiter as Sagittarius. Right? People will think Jupiter is a very good planet. Yes, I don't deny. However, Jupiter is the first guru for the Yuddha Vidya, right? Yuddha Vidya, Jupiter is the first guru. You have to learn something. Archery, for that matter, also comes from the guru. Any Vidya comes from guru. So what we can see here is the Gayatri, Jatavedasa 1 lakh that you have to do as mantra, feed Brahmins, and then homas, yajnas, and worship of a deer because the deer was hunted. Okay, should not ever eat deer meat, etc. Okay, Siddhidatri is the ninth Navadurga. Let's talk about this Siddhidatri. Siddhi Gandharva Yakshadyair Asurair Amarair Api. Right? Siddha Gandharva Yakshadyair Asurair Amarair Api. You can see Gandharva Yaksha Asura Amara. Asura means a Rakshasa, Amara means a Devata. For this lady, the ninth Durga, everybody is same. Right? If you see on the just before the Vijaya Dashmi, on the ninth Navratri, you can see that this man, the Vijaya, the Arjuna, would be, I mean, it's a big story. I'll try to keep it as short as possible for the time that we have. So, would be thinking they're still not very sure of the win because this man Duryodhana was still alive. We've talked about this probably in Swati. Yeah, not probably. For sure, we have talked about this in Swati. Okay, so Duryodhana was still alive, and we do not know because if the king is alive, the person can build up an army and come back and fight once again. And they were afraid, they were still not very clear. So, is it going to be the Amara or the Asura? It will depend on who is going to win. So, here the win is 50-50. I mean, win and loss is 50-50. That's why she's called as Sevyamana Sada Bhuyat Siddhid Asiddhi Daini. It can be a fruitful thing or a disaster or 50-50 of it or something where the result does not matter at all. Right? Let's suppose, I'll give you a classic example that comes to my mind just now. So, I mean, I'm talking about 80s or 90s. Okay, you cannot apply this to today's thing. In 80s or 90s, okay, when a person has got, let's suppose, he got graduated, applied for a job in a bank or somewhere. He pursued masters also alongside, and he applied the job today, and he gave the interview, etc. For some reason, the job, the dates have gone, and there was something. So somehow the recruitment was delayed, and this person was in the college for PG. And while the second year PG was happening, somehow something happened, and the guy came out of the college, could not complete his PG. Once he came home with a bad this thing, and he got a letter from the bank saying, "Look, you're selected. You can join from tomorrow." So even if there is a failure, the failure did not matter. The person actually excelled all through, right? So it can be like that. So either there is a failure or a success or something that did not matter. Either it is a failure or a success. It did not matter much for it. This is what the siddhi and asiddhi would mean. Okay. Next is Krittika, the most important word, I would say. Krittika would mean a blade. We have talked about this in length in the video of the Krittika when we were talking the basics, the first round. However, I will give you the basic one-line understanding. In Bharani, we were cramped up for room in mother's womb. We did not have space to move. We have been constantly praying the Yamadharmaraja, please get me out of this place from my mother's womb, whoever she is, I don't know. I'm not very happy here. It's completely dark. I do not know. I cannot stretch my legs. I'm upside down. I do not know when I'm going to come out. I've been doing tapas since quite long. Get me out. I will be sinless in this janma or in this life and come back, reach the salvation and do nothing. Nothing I will do in this life. This is what the soul keeps praying with Dharmaraja. Yamadharmaraja. Once we come out, using a blade, the umbilical cord is cut off, right? Once the umbilical cord is cut off, the whole smruti or the whole memory that we had of the last janma, we're going to lose it, right? Now we become independent. Now, this is what the cutting off of the cord between the parents is the first thing that you would look at. Okay, so now the person cuts off ties with a parent, okay, or a situation comes wherein they are still in contact, but physically they cannot touch each other because they're living very far off, right? This is the kind of thing that you will see. In the first case, what happened? There can be a little bit of a cultural difference between the couple, but it was not so different. We will come to it in more detail. Okay. Now we see Taurus, Capricorn. First time we are getting into Taurus in the D1 in the Rashi chart. The first charana is of the Taurus, that is Krittika, is second charana. Kritika's second charana is the Taurus's first charana. That's the first time we are touching Taurus now. Now, what happens is moon gets exalted here. Okay. Why? Because moon is very happy. The moment resources are being shown, the guy is absolutely great, happy. Okay. So we've talked about this in length in the nakshatra of the in the Krittika. Please go and read that. Appreciate if you read that whole stuff. I've given enough information there. Okay, don't want to repeat that once again. So moon gets exalted when it has enough food. So here also you can see food interests, okay, but unorthodox. The person becomes unorthodox here. You know why? Because Venus and Saturn, the same 1-9 relationship you have here, not like the 1-9 relationship we have in Aries and Sagittarius, the same 1-9 relationship we have in Taurus and Capricorn, but this is completely unorthodox. Shukracharya is trying to make the Asuras stand, and Asuras are actually incapable, but Shukracharya is trying to push those people who are incapable to become capable. Okay, now we have to understand that. Moon gets exalted here in the D1, okay, who happens to be the seventh lord from the D9, right? If you look at Capricorn, from the Capricorn's perspective, you have to see what exalts there in the D1. From the Taurus's perspective, you have to see what is being exalted there in the Capricorn. This is how you have to look at. In both the places, the seventh lords get exalted, right? From the Taurus, the seventh lord is Mars. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, right? From the Capricorn, the seventh lord is Moon. Moon is exalted in Taurus. So what is very important here? Marriage, partner, right? The life depends more on the attitude of the partner. Most of the times, the attitude of the partner is not great. Either he is very serious, or he is very uncaring, or does not understand the emotion of what the Venus is carrying, because see, it's Capricorn. It doesn't understand anything. All that he understands is Mars's exaltation, where there is a fight just happened. Either the Mars is very happy about it, or it is very unhappy about it. He is either celebrating in joy, drinking, or he is down and he is drinking. That's what the soldiers do, right? When there is a loss, they drink. When there is a defeat, they drink. When there is a win, they drink. I'm trying to generalize here, okay? No offense to anyone. The debilitation, none of the planet debilitates in the D1. Jupiter debilitates here, okay? So that's why this is a lot unorthodox. The Capricorn itself is unorthodox. Now, Venus is adding insult here. However, don't think unorthodox is bad. Debilitation of Jupiter is bad. No, I would say it is very good. Wherever unorthodoxity is required, it is very good, right? Sometimes you need unorthodox solutions, out-of-box solutions. There you need unorthodoxity. So you do an unorthodox thing. So never generalize saying, okay, the first charana is good, second charana is bad, nothing like that. All charanas are equally good, all are equally bad. Okay, why this is called as a Papa Amsha is because wherever Saturn or Mars are ruling, especially from the the Papa Grahas, it's called as the Papa Amsha. That's what I can say right now. Otherwise, it will become a big lecture. Once all the padas are over, I'll give you a consolidated understanding of how to use them more quickly. But it is important that I explain it to you, all of these. Otherwise, it becomes very difficult for you to contemplate. Just from the planet, we can say so many things. Okay, just by understanding what lordship it is, where it is placed, you can actually decipher hundreds of things. Okay, so the person is separated from family, brothers, sisters, siblings, etc. The person can be promiscuous, right? Because Krittika is still it has got 6 mothers, right? And also the Kartikeya comes out from here. He's got 2 wives, and also Moon, right? Moon gets exalted. The more the number of partners are, Moon is more happy, because Moon is partnered by 27 Nakshatras, right? Multiple mothers, right? Because six are the mothers of the Krittika, right? Shat Kritikas, we call it. There is a hostel for a job, or because it's the ninth and the 10th connection. If you see, Taurus to Capricorn is Taurus. From Taurus, try to understand what Capricorn and Aquarius are. Aquarius is the 10th and Taurus is the ninth. Ninth and 10th connections. You have ninth is the movement and 10th is the job, right? So the person tried to move for the job, or the person tried to move for a professional course, right? He did a professional course and he thought, I mean, what is a professional course would mean is the moment the course is over, he would be absorbed into the industry, right? That's how it is. And, the person gets to take a house for rent, etc., right? If you try to calculate the fourth house, who doesn't like, I mean, what is a planet that is not liked by Saturn thing or the Rahu thing in the Aquarius? It's the sun. So the fourth lord, right? Fourth lord is the sun from the Taurus. He gets into there. So the person tries to take an accommodation or something for a home, or maybe he pays an advance for a home. The advance is not given back by the builder, so there is a waste of money there. Somebody rented a home so that he thought, let me shift the place from there to here. He will lose it. Okay. I'm trying to give you a kind of heads up. If you're clever enough, you know how to make use of this in the dashas. That is how dashas will work, and that much complicated dashas are. When I talk about dashas, right, you'll be blown out. Oh my God, it was so simple and so straightforward. We never thought dashas will work like this. Okay, you have to wait for it, because I do not want to start dashas unless I am very confident that you understand those things. Okay. So as I said, the fourth lord is unliked by is unliked by the lord of the Navamsha, Saturn. So there is some loss of the fourth house. This is what I tried to say. Children living away, or they're very different. Look at the fifth from the Taurus. Fifth from the Taurus is Virgo, right? That is where the Venus debilitates. So the Lagna Lord, or the planet, the Rashi Lord where the planet is placed, is debilitating here in the fifth house, right? So that's why there is this thing. And also Venus is the Guru and the Saturn is the disciple, right? Or Saturn is the job given to him. Look at where Saturn has the Mula Trikona. Look at it from Venus's perspective of the Taurus, right? From the Libra, it is the fifth house, which is the Mula Trikona, the fifth house. And from the Taurus, it's the 10th house. The job given to Venus is to work for those people, right? Although they are subordinates, it is actually working for those people, if you can understand it clearly, right? Children living away are very different, right? And then is a strong or successful or deceased or arrogant spouse. The spouse is extremely successful in life by money or job, intelligence, etc. Because that's what you're getting to see. For the seventh lord from both the D1 and the D9 are getting exalted in those places, right? And because it's Moon and Mars, okay, Manas or Mars, for that matter, both are actually arrogant, right? When they know that they are the best, they will be very arrogant. They can be arrogant, they can be deceased, they can be successful, strong, dominating, not heeding or not listening to what the wife or the spouse or the husband is saying, right? So marriage will change life. Sexual relationships before marriage, right? And big diseases or indigestion to spouse, because the Mars gets from there to there, right? And it's a Saturnine sign, and both the signs are Saturnine signs from the D1, okay? And both are together. And what should I say? Indigestion can be a problem, or there can be a bigger diseases that can be there. separated from the motherland or father, or they lived in hostels at different points in time. Doctors, surgeons, farmers, chefs, cutting and forging, all these will involve a knife or cutting. Okay, cutting is the word, right? So Krittika is the knife or the scissors. It can be barbers as well. Those are those that cut our hair, right? The barbers, those people as well. Anybody or a tailor as well, for that matter, who's using a scissor, right? Anything that has got to do with the scissors or the knives is here, right? Could be a pharmacy, it could be a, I don't know, I mean, take it where the surgeon is involved or knife is involved. Bad company of friends, you can look at the kind of signs Capricorn and Aquarius are, and Venus coming there. Venus is a Brahmin, is a priest, is the guru. Venus moving into the house of Saturn is having a bad company. Okay, does not necessarily mean that the person is practicing bad habits. Not necessarily. Okay, so maybe he has friends who are not of his level, right? That is what you can think. Living away from birthplace, especially after marriage, right? Marriage and the job are actually linked up in this thing. So maybe the girl, if it's a girl thing, okay, I know a couple of cousins of mine who have these connections, and the girl is unable to decide what to prioritize, husband or job or both, or it keeps revolving around it, and she's actually forced to do a lot of work, right? And the body is a little fat in the middle age. She or he will look a little taller on the appearance. Very attractive young face, grayish but still good looking. It's like the woman becoming the man and man becoming the woman, right? I'll give you a couple of examples here. The woman is trying to make food at home and also working. Woman, okay, man, he's not going to job, he has issues with the job, etc. Okay, or he goes to job, but the problem is, even if he has to lift a small weight, he's not very capable, he's physically weak or bereft of strength. So woman behaving like a man and man behaving like a woman. Okay, so this can be possible. And theme is the 9-10 theme. As I said, the 9-10 theme is what is working. We can also calculate it from the other side as well. When we try to calculate from the Jupiterian thing, it is the 5 and 12 theme, right? 5-12 theme. From here it is the Venus. The Venus is 5, and the other Venus is 10. 5 and 10 theme. From these things also you will know a lot of things. What we will know is, after the birth of kids in the first charana, the 12th house operates. Okay, so there is a place change, there is something related to the 12th house happening. Place change, expenses, differences between the couple in the bed. Okay, you can name a lot of things. Okay, 5-10 theme is job becomes a little difficult to do after the children. Okay, or job comes up after the children are born. There's a big difference in big elevation in the job after children are born, etc. Both these things can be possible. Okay, now you can see the 4th degree is the Mrityubhaga for Saturn. Saturn is a person who is not willing to accept a change, right? And change is what is evident here, okay, because it's the Krittika, and Krittika is looking at cutting. So there is a change. First thing, what a blade or a scissor does is it cuts off into pieces, right? It's not the same thing. And also Krittika is also a little bit of Agni, right? Because it's still the Krittika star is Agni. So there is definitely transformation that should happen after the marriage. And Saturn is the person who is not ready for a change, right? He doesn't want to handle a change. And he's still the person who is handling the change always, because he's the Karka for the 8th house. 8th house is the transformation. 8th house is the death. But Saturn does not want to die, right? Saturn is the old man. Old people are those people who are very afraid of death and they do not want to die, right? I mean, you can say 100 things about it. Swaha is linked to Agni's job, and 9th and 10th, the theme here is 9th and 10th plays up. So after the marriage happens, there is an issue with the job, or a new job comes up, or the job takes a transformation, etc. Or after the job has come up, then only the marriage can happen. If the person doesn't have a job, then it's good that he picks up a job, then marriage happens, right? I mean, it can be both ways. Okay, so the 9th and the 10th houses are connected, or the person does a job where the father is also a partner inside it. Okay, or the father is also doing the same job, right? Or the partner himself is doing the same job, right? Because 9th would be the partner also. Okay, the Karma Vipaka, look at this. Rudramati is the wife of Indra Sharma, right? And she's quarrelsome. This is what you will know. See, 7th Lord being exalted, right? Being exalted does not always mean a good thing. Okay, the person is absolutely comfortable. Mostly comfortable people will do a lot of mistakes, and they'll have more ego. They don't care much because he's comfortable, right? The person has the wife, or the, for that matter, the spouse, quarrelsome, ill-mannered, deceased, right? All these things can be there. Childlessness. See, most of the times the child thing, you may have to ignore it, because most of the times it keeps coming up, because in olden days, that is the first thing that people used to believe, that don't have a child, that's a very big sin, right? Now, you can see that. Okay. What you can see is he attended a funeral rites of a king, and he received a bed and an elephant in donation, right? You can see that the bed comes from the 12th house, right? Besides the Mars being the 12th Lord from the Taurus, is the 7th Lord also. He is getting exalted in the Capricorn, right? Elephant also is Bharani. He is also there. So Bharani is also in the Martian sign. And those were given in the death ceremony, and he has received it, right? He was born as an elephant, tiger, worm, and many other forms, and then human. He did not have male children, delayed progeny, wife suffered many diseases, right? This is what is, you will see from the second charana. The mantra that you should recite is Gayatri mantra, Mahamrityunjay mantra of 1 lakh. Feed 100 Vedic scholars, do money donations. The Shailaputri once again comes back, because this is the first charana. I'm not explaining this completely, the Shailaputri. One thing I can say is Yashaswini, something that is focused on earning good name, bad name, etc. Okay, the person either earns good name or bad name. That is the first charana's objective. The third charana is Shukram. Okay, third charana is the word Shukram. You know, everybody knows what Shukram is. Shukram is the brightest, right? Brightest of all. So this person will stand tall in a group, right? He will try to express himself very, very well, and he gets easily noticed, right? And he has kingly appearance. The person is, I mean, he's not any cheap. Okay, how do I say this? Fond of luxuries. Fond of luxuries. You can see here, because it's the moon getting exalted, and it is ruled by the Rahu. Moon likes all luxuries, right? And Venus is ruling here. He's also all luxuries. Rahu is the king. He likes all luxuries. The poor man is Saturn, but Rahu is a kingly person. Aquarius is rich. The Capricorn is also rich in one way, being earthy sign, but usually the Saturn is the person who likes to be in poverty or being dirty, right? No planet exalts, no planet debilitates in both these cases. Okay, so it's either very happy going thing. Okay, no worries kind of a thing. So he's rebellious, ugra, and there is harsh speech. He's a very good advisor. He will keep talking about alcohol. I mean, he'll do alcoholism, or he will talk against alcoholism. Okay, it'll be very beautiful, he or she, for that matter. They may have a sickly siblings, right? And you know why? Because it's, you just try to count three houses from the Navamsha Lagna. You can see the third lord getting exalted in the 12th house. One is away. People can be away. The third lord can be away. You can also see that the third lord from the D1 getting into the Aquarius. You can see that alcoholism is there, right? So, and also you can see beautiful, because it's the royal sign. Aquarius is also the royal sign. You can see beautiful people there, nicely dressed. There can be poverty also. I'm not denying poverty here. Poverty also can be there, or the person's friends or associates are all poor, and he's trying to help them, because that's the job of Venus. Venus is trying to help the downtrodden people, trying to be on their side. He will sacrifice all his luxuries and try to bring up these people. Supporting a wrong team of people, okay, that's what the Venus is doing. What does wrong team of people would mean is, pick up the case of Venus. Venus had every opportunity to go to the Suras, but he picked up Asuras by choice, right? He wanted to help them, and he always wanted to make name out of those. Look, why do I have to help the Devatas? They are already there on the top. So if I have to make my name more than the Jupiter, I'm an Acharya as well, like the Jupiter. If I have to make more name, what I should do? I should do, I should get a fool or an idiot in front of them and say, look, I am a kingmaker, right? So that's what I will do. The king debilitates in my sign, Libra, right? So let me bring these people up. So, I mean, I'm not saying supporting wrong team of people. Okay, I'll give you another example. If you have to build a competition for Jio or Reliance, okay, and you have a nice guru to do it, okay, you may do it, right, depending on what conditions you have, etc. I'm just giving you an example. But the chances or likeliness of beating Reliance, okay, are very, very bleak, right? Because they're giants. You cannot win over them. And you being an ordinary person, right? So what happens as a guru? You are supporting the wrong side of the people. Instead, you go and ask a job in Reliance, they will happily give you. But you will say, no, I don't want to do something which is already there. I want to do something very different. I want to do something very rebellious. That's what rebellious would mean. Okay, revolutionary, not those ordinary things. I'm made for big thing, right? So this can be depending on the kind of planets that you have there. Either the person is sober also, that can also happen. None of the rebellious qualities will come up, right? Depending on the kind of thing that you are showing up there. Okay. Sun happens to be the Lagna Lord, and Sun being placed there, right? That can add more as a rebellion, right? Saturn being there, actually, Saturn is a more sober guy, so he may not rebel so much. Rahu being there, he will add up rebellious nature to anyone, right? It depends on the kind of planet that you have there. You can use planet, also you can use the first lord, seventh lord, eighth lord, etc. Depending on how much rebellious they can be. Just use a little common sense. You will know what can be rebellious and what cannot be. Okay, sit down and think over for a while. You will know what rebellious can be. Sometimes what looks like sober from outward thing can be very rebellious as well, depending on the ownership of the planet. So life changes after childbirth, right? Because after the childbirth, what you can see is, count 5 houses from the Aquarius, you will get Gemini, and the Mercury is also ruling the 8th house. 5 and 8 are lorded by Mercury, which is the debilitation sign of the Venus, who is the lord of the D1 sign, right? And that happens to be the 2nd and the 5th lord. from the D1. Okay, what happens to be 5 and 8 happens to be 2 and 5 from the D1. So there are expenses on account of children. You don't have to remember all that. Just remember Shukram, right? Shukracharya had a daughter called Devayani. Read the story of Devayani, Kacha, Shukracharya, Jupiter. This story is very popular now. Maybe you have AI videos also around it. Shukracharya felt very bad for the kind of daughter he had, but he had enormous unconditional love for the success of Devayani, right? So the person is constantly focused on how I can better my child, how I can help my child more and more and more, right? That is what the Sukram would mean. All through the life, Shukracharya was constantly helping these people so that he can make more money, right? Because you're making a person from rags to riches. I will get more share. If I go and work in Reliance, they may pay me, I don't know, whatever salary they will pay me. But if I'm making a life of a person, although I may starve on the initial days, once these people will pick up in their life and become big, I will obviously have everything in my life, right? And I'm confident I can fight these giants very easily, right? Sickly father or an underpaid father. Okay, this happens for two reasons. One is the ninth house is the natural ninth house gets into the eighth house in with respect to the Taurus thing. Besides that, the ninth and the 10th, and those combinations where the Jupiter gets into the Saturnine sign, and ninth lord from the Taurus is the Saturn. That also again gets into a Saturnine sign. So the person is either very, very strict man. Saturn to Saturn is very strict. Saturn to Saturn is very depressed. Or Saturn to Saturn can be poor, right? Sickly father, underpaid father, poor father, talents not very recognized by other people, fighting against competition, too much of work, no support from the colleagues, poor elder siblings, high on expenses, right? And high on expenses. The person can be lean and tall. Usually Aquarius is a little on the leaner side, on the slimmer side. They'll not put weight very easily, unless you have Rahu or something where it is trying to expand, right? Rahu expands or Jupiter expands, or watery planets can also cause expansion, but most times in Aquarius they actually add up to the beauty of the person. So Moon, Mercury, Venus, they actually add up to the beauty. The person can be very beautiful. So unless Rahu or somebody is actually placed there, that is actually causing the expansion. Or the Jupiter also can cause expansion, which can build up fat. What I'm trying to say is also add up planets slowly. We will come to those planets. We haven't talked much on the planets because it's taking a lot of time on this itself. So the axis is 3-9. Okay, I lost it anyway. So the axis is 4-10. The Karma Vipak Samhita says the Udyota Sharma, his name is Udyota Sharma, and was suffering from poverty, right? Okay. So the problem can be is either there is poverty or there is money, right? So there is no beach wala thing. So the person is either very poor or very doing very well in life with respect to the finances. This is what we will see. Okay. His wife is Girija, harsh-tongued, cruel words. During a solar eclipse, on an oil merchant donated Udya 1 lakh gold coins. Being a Brahmin, this guy accepted a donation of 1 lakh gold coins on an eclipse. Why there is an eclipse thing we are talking about here? It's an Aquarius, is Rahu, and Moon exalts here in the D1. So they've combined Moon and Rahu here, and those two are big enemies, right? Venus and Rahu are still okay. Venus is trying to build Rahu, right? So Venus and Rahu relationship is very good. Karma Vipaka always talks about the negativity around it. So Moon and Rahu, it has picked up that only, right? Because what is in today's world, if people are calling it a spending karma or those things, right? So what is that one has to do? This is what the Karma Vipaka will tell you. I'm trying to give you the logic behind it so that it's easy to remember. And also you will get a lot of results from these things. The Udyota abandoned his wife and son, spent money lavishly and forgot all his Brahmin duties. Now, money, moon is money, moon is resources. When moon comes into Rahu, Rahu becomes like, I'll capture all the moon. I'll eat away all the moon, right? That's what Rahu does. Rahu eats up all the moon and says, look, I have the resources. Now I'm not a poor man anymore. I'm not the Saturn now. I've become the Rahu, right? Now let me do whatever I want. I'll be more and more cruel, right? Now he is spending everything lavishly. Rahu becomes a king, right? He gets into moon, he becomes the king. He eats off the moon, he becomes the king. He eats off the sun, he becomes the king, right? And Rahu or Saturn, for that matter, does not care much. They don't have the emotional side of it. They're very poor at donations, right? So donation is what we will encourage here. It's not about just money making. What is important is trying to feed people, donation, etc. are those things that you have to give here. I'll come there. This became prosperous teaching Vedas. So being a believer of Vedas, that's what the Aquarius will not generally have. It's very difficult for Aquarius thing to believe that supernatural things are there and they can influence, etc., depending on what kind of planets you have in them. But Aquarius is absolutely practical, right? That's what the Saturn would keep saying. Why should you pray? There's nothing to do with the praying. Do good karma. I don't even mind being doing bad karma also, because being Rahu, it's okay to do bad karma because practically this is the life that I have to live, right? Wife died and then his son. Second wife was also ill. Son turned against him. So what you can see here is that the children turning against the people. Fifth, eighth combinations you can see from the Aquarius. 5 and 8 are there, and those become the 2 and 8 from the D1. Right? This is how these things are made. Jataveda's mantra you can do for 3 lakh times. It's a square-shaped fire altar. Homa can be given. Homa means havan. With sesame oil or sesame seeds, the black til seeds, right? Listen to Harivamsha Purana, donate land and bed to a rich Brahmin, right? Because donation is important here. Brahmacharini is the second Navadurga. She talks about Anuttama is the word that I would usually emphasize on. Anuttama. Anuttama is someone who is behind Uttama, right? Uttama will come and she's trying to follow her because Brahmacharini is the tapaswini who is praying for the Lord Shiva to appear in front of her and want to marry her. She wants to marry Lord Shiva. Okay. That's why she's called as Brahmacharini and she's doing a Ghor tapas. So the person is looking at partnerships. Person is trying to build partnerships with people. Okay, that's what is focused on. Okay, the Jyotir Avastat, this happens to be the fourth charana. Jyoti, everybody knows, light or flame. What look at a candle, okay, or the deepa that we will usually light up in front of the Bhagavan in the morning. What you can see is the candle or that light will keep burning itself and it will try to provide light and heat to the person who is looking at it, right? That's what is the purpose of light or a flame, right? So the same thing. And also look at what kind of combinations you get from the D1. From the D1 you see, from the D1 it is Taurus and D9 it is Pisces. Venus and Jupiter are there. From the Taurus, Jupiter is lording 8 and 11 houses. Besides that, the 11th house is also the exaltation point of Venus. See, Venus being exalted. See, Venus is exalted in the last sign. When the Vamana came out and said, hey, Bali Raja, give me all that you have earned till date. I'm going to push you down into the netherworld and you will never come back, or maybe come back after the yuga is over, right? And that is when Venus got exalted. All that effort, work, etc., that he has put in is all gone in vain because of Jupiter, the Vamana, and still he felt very, very happy for it. That's what is the exaltation of Venus, or the purpose of Venus is to get into Jupiter, right? It's a very high level thing if you can understand that. And the Mercury debilitates here. So the purpose of Venus is being pure, being associated to the god, because that's what the Pisces is all about. Pisces is completely dark. If you go into the Marina Trench and sit there, the kind of hydrostatic pressure that you will have over all the seas over your head, and you're sitting beneath it, the kind of the pressure that you will have because of the water, and the kind of darkness you will see there, because no sunlight can enter there. There's nothing. You cannot see anything. That is what Venus is. And Venus is actually meant to see the world. Venus is the eyes, right? Everybody says that Venus rules the second house, and Venus is the eyes. He rules the vision. And Venus rules that vision that normal people cannot see. That's why Venus is also a Jyotishi, right? So darkness, this Venus sees into the darkness, or through the darkness, right? So the person is trying to sacrifice himself for the better good, or for the good of those people, or taking too many responsibilities. The problem with Pisces in the Navamsha is the person has unnecessary responsibilities in life, because that is the place where Venus is exalted. Venus is happy when he is trying to support the wrong side of the person who are downtrodden and trying to help them up, or the person who is not doing his duty and this man is trying to help them, right? That is what Venus likes all about. So this is, you can connect this into 12 ways, and also see what this is all about. It can mean 8-11 connections. From the D1, Jupiter rules the 8th house and the 11th house, and Venus gets exalted there. So 8-11 connections are like, somebody in the Telugu class just now that they said, the elder sibling was not responsible. And that's why this man has shared whole of the responsibility of the parents, although it usually goes to the elder sibling to take care of the parents, usually. Okay, wherever everybody has to take the share, or rather everybody should say the parents have to live with me. That should be the ideal way of treating parents. But if the elder sibling has given up all the responsibility, he will not take care of anything, no hand given. This man takes care of the parents very happily. Okay, so 11th house is the elder sibling, 8th house is given up, right? So elder sibling has given up the responsibility, and that's why this man is taking up a responsibility. So the Pisces, okay, now from now on, what you will see is wherever Pisces comes up in a Navamsha, think that there is a responsibility. Okay, there is a additional responsibility. That is what Pisces denotes. The Aquarius denotes loss or gain, material thing. Okay, it could be a person, loss of a person, life of a person lost. That means death of a person, or somebody who has gone so far that you cannot feel him anymore. Okay, in these days, like they are too far off, no connections, not talking to them. You have developed some enmity, etc. These two are very, very difficult signs actually in the Navamsha. The more the number of planets that you have in the Aquarius and the Pisces you have, the more are the difficulties for the person. The more the exalted the planet is, more is the difficulty. You have Venus in the Lagna in the exalted sign of Pisces. Welcome to the league. Okay, there are huge number of responsibilities on your head unnecessarily. If you are an woman, it adds insult to the injury, because your husband doesn't take care of a lot of things, and you're dying on them. Okay. However, it's a very generic statement, so you have to add up to all that and then pronounce this. Sometimes it can result in a very good thing as well, because if it happens to be a Lagna and there is a good planet there, the person will voluntarily be ready to accept a lot of responsibilities and says, look, this is my responsibility. Why would my husband has to share anything on it, right? That's a good soul. So fighting and sacrificing, Too many. Okay, fighting and sacrificing, too many responsibilities and debts, very well educated, and there's a lot of knowledge. The person can be a Jyotishi also, person who has knowledge of the Jyotisha. Budgeting and forecasting can also be there. There are strayed suns or far away. The suns are very far away because the Jupiterian signs, both of them will indicate children, and they are far away because 8th and 11th are not very good houses. Expenses or debts due to children. Okay. And culturally different wife. See why that's so? Because Jyoti would mean a responsibility. Okay. So culturally a different wife, right? Also expenses due to children is because the fifth lord Mercury from the Taurus is debilitated there in the D9. So expenses or debts or children straying away from the parents, etc. can be there. Could be due to different reasons. One can be studying away from them, or they have so much of feeling for the child, but the child would say, look, I have to grow up in my life, right? Okay, I understand you have a lot of love for me, but I have to go to the college, I have to come back, and all that stuff, right? Culturally a different wife, right? Sudden ups and downs in life, or there can be long-term diseases. See, 11th house is the sixth from the sixth house. Do not think 11th house is a good house, 12th house is a bad house. Do not make results like this. You are going to fail for sure. If you're timing something, somebody has, I just saw some post of someone who said, what happens when you have 5 planets in the 8th house? I will say nothing will happen. You can happily go home and sleep. Okay. If this is the way you're thinking the astrology will work, your life is already gone for a 6. Okay. You have to get all that crap out of your brain and try to understand it from a very different perspective. Had astrology been so easy of having host of planets in the 8th house, and what happens then everybody would have been astrologers. There would have been no people to actually go to astrologers. You would be an astrologer yourself without any big effort. Okay, sorry if I've been harsh, but the reality is that it's not as straightforward as you think. Okay, so the 11th house, as I keep saying, is the sixth from the sixth house. It can mean increase in debts. It can mean increase in diseases. Okay. And Venus is very, very happy dealing with the people who are poor. Okay. So exalted Venus is very happy when there is poverty all around because he's trying to help everyone. But what is the job? Because I'm looking at the downtrodden guy, I'm trying to help him. And as the time turns out, people will realize that, oh, Venus is the most successful person. He made the rich man out of the rags, right? That's how I would be acclaimed the best, right? Am I not audible or what? Anju, you opened up your mic. No, right? Maybe muting you up. Okay. So, not enough support from colleagues. Because see, Venus is the only capable guy out of that whole lot. He had all the Rakshasas and they did not have any understanding of how the Vedic world worked and how they have to work towards a goal. All that they knew was as the sun goes down, I should drink and go to women. This is what the Rakshasas were doing, right? But they had tremendous power. The kind of bhujabala that we can say. I mean, the arm strength was very good with the Rakshasas. If they go for a duel, usually the Rakshasas have to win. It is because the Vishnu was standing on their side, the Devatas were winning. That is what this man thought. The Devatas are winning only because Vishnu is standing on their side, and I'm as capable as Vishnu is, right? So Venus is trying to compare himself to the god, right? So you have to understand these things very, very clearly. Do not just go by silly things saying, oh, Pisces, good sign, Capricorn, bad sign, Saturn, good planet. Forget all these things. Nothing works like that. Okay. Not enough money with the father, strict father. See, ninth house connections. Okay. I've just given this 9 is I mean, usually why I wrote numbers is only because of that at the start, but somehow I forgot and that went like a numerical thing. Ninth house connections will make the father very strict. Because see, if the Venus adds to strictness, Venus will say, look, be strict, be careful, try to learn these things, and he will try to be strict. Okay. Or he did not have enough money at the start of life. Okay. Not enough support from colleagues, lot of work, promotions for others. This person is not well recognized, although he is well read or good knowledgeable, because Jupiter always got the promotion. It was not the Venus, right? Wealthy elder siblings or deceased. Okay. Expenses due to children, interest in food and luxury, interest in food and luxuries, loans and debts, and repenting on them. Okay, this is another good trait of Pisces. You can use this most of the places. If you have Pisces thing, person goes for loan and then repents for it. Okay, gets into debts and then repents for it. I should have not taken that debt. Okay, beautiful eyes. Venus is that, because one way in the Rashi Venus is there, and also in the Pisces Venus exalts there. So this planet will give you beautiful eyes. When would it give you beautiful eyes? It has to be connected to the second house or the first house, right? Tummy, medium to tall, bright and radiant complexion, right? Connections are 511 and also the 811 thing. Okay, 811 is the theme of this. Sorry. So 811 connections. So 8 is sudden, 11 is money. So suddenly money comes in, right? Sudden money comes in. Even this can be a prediction. Okay. Suddenly money goes off, or suddenly job is gone, right? Or suddenly job has come. Both can be there, because 8th house is sudden, 11th house is money. Okay. 8th house is sudden, 11th house is a disease. Suddenly some disease crops up. Okay. It can be both the ways with respect to the 11th house. And no house is good, no house is bad. 9-degree Mrityu Bhaga for Lagna, 9-degree Mrityu Bhaga for Sun. What do Sun and Lagna represent? They represent the self. They represent the health. Okay. So the person can have poor health, or they may have, it may also show the lineage. Sun also is the karaka for this, for the lineage, your children. Okay. There can be a problem with the children. Sun and the Lagna show the Rajya. Okay. Because actually Lagna means the 10th house only, right? Because Parashara says, why is there a Lagna? It's because to look at 10th house. You have to understand the 10th house. That's why a Lagna is marked, right? In Western astrology, they directly pick the 10th house. They mark the ascendant and they will look all the things from the 10th house. They do not look anything from the Lagna. Probably this is the reason. Okay. So Karma Vipaka says Yodha Sharma. Look at the name Yodha. What does the Yodha mean? Yodha is a Sanskrit word. It's the same word in Telugu, Tamil, Hindi, all of the Indian languages. Yodha is the same. Yodha means a warrior. What does a Yodha mean? If there is a Shatru team, that there is an enemy team of people, Yodha is a single man. A single man fighting a team of enemies, right? That's the name, that's what the name shows. His wife is Danavi, right? The wife is Danavi. Danavi means a Rakshasa lady, right? She lived by immoral means. The Brahmin left his duties and became a Vaishya. Look at the 11th house connection with the 8th house, right? 11th house is looking at the Labha at the expense of the 8th house, right? So you can connect all these things. Borrowed gold from another Vaishya man, wealthy Vaishya man, and could not return it back and died. He was reborn as an ox and a pig, and then as a wealthy human. And the Vaishya from whom he got the loan in the previous life, he became a son of this man. Now, all the money this wealthy man had, this guy was tossing it into the air by alcoholism, and he was a womanizer as well. He spent all the father's money. The father suffered fevers and death of the children at the birth, right? So here also you can see the father or the guru, right? The Venus is the guru. He is trying to explain it to the Rakshasas how to live and how to go up the ladder, and they're not ready to listen, right? Only when Prahlada came, that is when Prahlada understood, okay, this is the way to win over. It is through bhakti and following dharma. And that is why the Prahlada is the first man, and then the Virochana, and then the Mahabali. 3 generations have ruled for thousands of years on the Rakshasa side, and they could not be dethroned because they were ruling better than the Devas. Vishnu could not do anything. And that is why Venus is exalted, right? Because Vishnu also supported him, saying, look, you guys are better than the Indra that we have today. So he's out of the power, right? Now, when Indra prayed to Aditi and said, look, mom, you have to chip in and help me, Aditi got in Vamana, right? We've talked about all this stuff. So Vamana came in through the Aditi's request, or rather Vamana wanted to come into Aditi. That's why Jupiter is exalted in the moon's sign. It was Vishnu's request that, look, the arrangement has to be now changed once again, and the Devas will rule now once again. It's not the Asuras, right? So in both the cases, Venus was very happy because the order was correct. The order was correct. The social order was correct. And the Dharma was winning because the Asuras, like the Indra, was out of Dharma. That's why he was dethroned. And now Mahabali also came to a situation where he can go out of Dharma. So now the Dharma is being re-established because the sins of these people are gone by time. Thousands of years have lapsed. So they've understood that the Indra can be reinstated here. Gayatri Japa of 1 lakh, feed 100 Brahmins, dig wells, or build rest houses, right? Because usually the money is there because of the Venus. Chandraghanta. Chandraghanta, again, I will use only one word here. Please listen to the whole Ashwini 1, 2, 3 and so on classes or other classes of this man. Shubham Alok has given a very good lecture over this. Please listen to them. I'm just using one word, Chandra. Chandra would mean waxing and waning. So there is a waxing waning thing here. Okay, there's a waxing waning thing here in the Chandraghanta. That is what you have to understand. I would say that's it. Anyone has questions? Happy to answer any insights that came to your mind while we were talking, etc.